or some of the hurdles that you've had to overcome. I'm going to start with Jocelyn.
Well, thank you, Megan, and thank you, everybody, for being here. It's so exciting to see all of you in the audience. I think the biggest challenge, as I'm sure the co-panelists will echo, is funding, and did I say funding? That's always the biggest challenge for startup founders. I'm an advisor to a number of CEOs and founders, and taking them through the fundraising process is always very interesting. On the other side of it, as an angel investor, one of the biggest challenges that I have found is really robust and high quality deal flow. So how do you identify opportunities, evaluate those opportunities, and then secure the investment in startups? So those are just a few just to get us started.
Wonderful. Deborah?
Well, first of all, thank you for having me here, and thank you for covering this topic. This is so important to our. We need to engage all the talent that we have, ignite all the force that we have, and we need to ignite all the talent we have and all the force that we have. So, anyway, I'll just end and delighted here. Okay.
Hi, everybody. Thanks for coming. I would say I don't think there's any coincidence that they placed us at lunchtime, because when it comes to funding in tech for women, we're totally out to lunch.
So true.
So, yeah, for funding, I think it's raising awareness. That's really what the solution is about. It's why I produced the movie called Show Her the Money. We just got off a 100-city tour, and U.S. News and World Report said it's one of the top best financial films of the decade. And the reason I think that they gave us those accolades is because we absolutely needed a film to talk about why are women underfunded and how we're going to fix that. And so really proud to be here to represent a movement. We call it a movie and a movement, so we call it a movement. We're on a mission to help change that. And part of the solution is you sitting right here in the audience, learning about venture capital through things like our movie, Show Her the Money, in an entertaining, engaging, storytelling kind of way, so that you understand how important it is to the future of the planet and how important it is to women in tech, and that you could be an investor in venture capital. And so we've tried to demystify that whole arena so that women get into the game. I think the reason women don't get funding is there's no one at the table that looks like them that's making the decisions of who gets funded, and that's what we have to flip the script on.
And that's a great point. And right into my next follow-up question on additional resources and or network. Women entrepreneurs, we have our own network, but what types of additional resources are necessary to be able to move to that next level, to get that funding, to compete effectively? And Deborah, I'm gonna look right at you.
Yeah, first of all, I want to just make the point that we have two gaps going on. One is the amount of funding that goes to women entrepreneurs, and second of all, we have a gap with the number of women that are investing. When you think about it, we have a massive transfer of wealth happening. Women are about to either inherit or the next generation will achieve greater financial resources. And we need to take ownership of our money and make investments in things that we care about. And so you think about it, there are two ways to make wealth. One is to found a company that is successful. The other way is to invest early in a company that's successful. So if we, women and men, are not taking our place in the front row and making investments in things that we care about, we're not going to have that wealth creation opportunity, and we're not going to direct the future that we want to see.
Can I add a little bit to that? I would say the other gap is in underrepresented founders, and that's really where I do all of my investing. So yes, women, but also racial and ethnic minorities. And when we think about what the opportunities are and how we find them, and I go back to this as an investor, I have, I will introduce myself to anyone, as these ladies know. I'll have a conversation with anyone, but what I've really focused on is building a network of people who are connected to the opportunities. So I know the types of things I want to invest in, and I seek out people who've been very successful at doing that. So I have a board of directors, if you will, or an investment group that every opportunity that they see, I'm part of that conversation. And because they have had successful investments, successful exits, I am part of that success. So I would encourage all of you to do it. And the other thing I would say about it, you don't have to know, the biggest investors or the most famous investors. I reach out to people on LinkedIn all the time. And since COVID, I haven't had a single person turn me down. So if I'm interested in what someone is doing, I'll reach out to them. If I've seen they've made an investment, I'll say, hey, tell me more about that. So I would just say build your network, not just with the people that are famous and big investors, but other folks who are moving and investing in things that you would like to invest in.
And to piggyback on that, connecting is absolutely your superpower. So if you're a tech woman out there looking for funding, I would say connect. Investing is a business where people connect and people they identify with. They not only like your product, but they actually believe in you. And so it's super important to get out there and network. Go to angel groups, meet people that are investors. They want to meet you. They're looking for the next big innovation. So they're looking for you as much as you're looking for them. But they're not going to come knocking on your door. You do have to go meet them. But the exciting thing is you get to meet the most incredible people on the planet. They're probably people like Jocelyn that have already had their exit. And then they get to meet incredible people like you who are the brilliant people creating the new technologies. So it's a win-win, but you got to get out there and play and not dread raising money, but look forward to it. And to the men in the audience, I want to say, one of my biggest surprises of our movie, Show Her the Money, has been the support from the men in the audience who said, I want better for my daughters and my sister, my wives, and my mother. By the way, they all have a mother. I can guarantee you that one. That's a guarantee, okay? So we do need men to invest in women. And why wouldn't they? We make a better investment. We have a better return. But we also need women to cross over and start not just giving to charity, but also investing in venture capital. And so it's so important as that transfer of wealth happens, like Deborah just mentioned, that we educate ourselves on what is venture capital and why is it so important to the future of the world, and why would we want to have an impact on what's being made and created. After all, we impact 80% of the buying decisions. Why aren't we impacting a majority of the investment decisions? It's time that we do that. We can and we will, right?
Yeah, Deborah, I don't know if you have anything else to add to that, but
I also wanted to add that investing is serious business, and my own path was that I was part of an angel network early on, and it was a bit of us finding our way, so it was not highly successful. That led to me becoming an entrepreneur myself and creating my company, Plum Alley, where we help others invest, because the skill set that you need to be successful is real. Investing is serious business, and it's not something that's done well if it's a side project or a hobby. So there are organizations out there that you can team up with that will teach you the rope and help you find quality deal flow. Not all early stage companies will succeed. So if you're moving into the investing space, do it smartly. And we're happy that now is a time where there are organizations to help you.
I want to piggyback on that because I love what you just said. This is what I love about venture capital is you can invest in a venture capital fund. It's much like a mutual fund. You're pooling your money with other people. And you have to invest in a fund that believes in the mission of what it is you want to invest in and in those general partners who are running that fund. For instance, I have the Silicon Valley Women Founders Fund. My partner, John Majeski, used to look for the technologies that were being acquired by Dell, by HP, by Lenovo. And so he knows what they're looking for. This is going to give a leg up to the women that we're investing in their technologies to know what those big tech companies are looking for so they can get acquired. But my point is, you don't have to be a financial expert if you're investing in a venture capital fund where you have smart financial experts running that fund. Does that make sense? And so that's what I love about venture capital is it's much like a mutual fund. You're pooling it together with other people, and then you're letting the experts decide where that money is deployed. And so I just wanted to follow up with that. That's really what makes it so accessible. I think also a lot of people think you have to have millions of dollars if you're going to invest in venture capital. And one thing our movie hit home for people that seemed to wake up a lot of people is that you could invest $25,000. It could come from your IRA. It's not as unaccessible as you might think it is. And so we're trying to demystify that. I think that's what's going to help move the needle of more women investing in venture capital.
And that actually brings me to my next question is how do we bring more women into venture capital? How do we bring them into the investment space, into the decision-making process? How do we demystify that? Jocelyn, I don't know if you want to,
Yeah, absolutely. I think conversations like these, as we've already talked about, and going back to what Deborah said in terms of the extensive wealth transfer that's about to happen, if you are a woman in the audience and you have resources and you're trying to get into investing, there are so many ways to connect with the type of investments that you may be interested in. And I'll give an example, and I'm going to shout out a number of my heroes in the venture space at today's panel, so just get ready for it. But one example, I invest in real estate, and I was on LinkedIn, my favorite place to be, and I came across a woman, her name is Tracy Prigmore, and she runs She Has a Deal. Tracy was doing a lunch and learn on a Sunday in November, Sunday. And so she had this Zoom, and I was like, I don't really know what this is about, but I'm really interested in real estate. I know that she is investing in a massive vineyard in California. So I tuned into this brunch and learn is what it was called. On that brunch and learn, to your very point, she talked about using your IRA to invest in real estate. And I was like, wait a minute, I have never heard this. And I have Goldman Sachs, I have all the advisors, you and I talked about this. They have never once mentioned to me that I can take money out of my IRA and use it for this specific purpose to invest in all types of real estate funds. So I would encourage you, this is just one example, I have many. Look up Tracy Prigmore and She Has a Deal if you're interested in real estate. But the bigger issue is make sure that you are connecting with your passions. There are all sorts of resources out there. I'm happy to be a resource. But as women, you have the spending power. We already talked about it. You know all the things that you are interested in. It's about connecting the dots with conversations like these.
Yeah, I'd like to